And we are back. Another interesting week, Bish. A lot of highs and a lot of lows. I know that sounds simple, but if you're watching the NFL, you'll know exactly what I mean this year, Bish. It's been an unpredictable year, as our betting's shown. It's been an unpredictable year, and it's making each game week really interesting. And for fantasy, it's who knows who's going to win. Except me.
Yeah, you've had a good start, John. You. I mean, it is. You're right. You're getting a lot of big scores, and it seems like everyone's pretty close to over 100 points, or you're at the other end and you miss it that week and you're down at 70, 80 points. So some big scores in our league this week. A couple of one tight game that's going to go right down to the wire with Stocky and my brother. But Jordan Lane as well just misses out to Grimesy after his motivational interview during the week. He got the win. And Jordan Lane, he scores 113 points in a defeat, which probably against other than two people would have got him the win. So that's a bit unlucky for him. And Tag's finally lost as well. So you're the only unbeaten in the tournament at the minute, Joe.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll just show the league to everyone just to show off for a brief minute. But if you look at the first name on this list, Team JMH 6482, 124 to 75 to Sam's team. It's been a good week for me, Bish. I'll just flick over. I've got Brock Purdy, another outstanding. I still don't know how good Brock Purdy is, Bish. What's your take on Brock? He's just obviously his team's that good. I think it's easy.
Yeah, it's that system. He's clearly got something about him, but he just needs to be serviceable. I think that a quarterback in that system. But yeah, he's doing well. Obviously, come back from that injury, that elbow injury, and he's hit the ground running, and they're scoring 30 points a week. So he's doing something right. Are we just scrolling? Are we lost?
No, you're back. Oh. Sorry, I apologise. I think it's computer technicality there. But are you back with me?
The old Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I don't know how far I got there, but yeah, he seems to be getting the job done, doesn't he? He's got plenty of weapons around him. He's got they've been scoring around 30 points a week. So he's very racking up the 20 plus points for you.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'll save my Purdy things for later in the season because I think he'll be there all year long. But yeah, James Cook, his touchdown really saved me there. Didn't have the best of games, shared some of the work with Latavius, and it's not as hopeful for James Cook as I was, Bish. But the touchdown saviour. Derrick Henry, what a fantastic game, Bish. Did you see much of Derrick on your Sunday?
Yeah, I saw his breakout game. He's even throwing lobbed touchdown passes as well. So yeah, what about that for a performance from Tennessee? Absolutely took the Bengals to the cleaners there. Did not see that one coming, I must admit.
No, neither did I, Bish. It's crazy, isn't it? Who can predict that? The Tennessee, 1 week, the Tennessee, you think they're done and dusted. Derrick Henry's not the same player. Then he pulls off a stat line. I don't know how highlighted it is on the screen, Bish, but I'm just looking here. It's unbelievable. It's just an unbelievable. Like I said, a touchdown throw, a touchdown himself, 122 yards. Like I said, a reception for 11 yards, which always gives you the points. PPR, just a great overall game. But Devonta Smith, Keenan Allen, George Kittle, my one let down. Bish, what's your take on Kittle this year in that stacked San Fran offense?
Yeah, there's a lot of mouths to feed, isn't there? Well, 1 week it could be Kittle, which I think it was last week. The next week it could be Debo. Then you've got Ayuk. You're always going to get McCaffrey. So there's just that many options to pick from. I think it's very hard for each week for everyone to score good points. So, you can carry him, to be fair, as you said, look at your team and the points you've got. You can afford to carry him, and then that 1 week where he hits big, who knows, Joe, you might be hitting 200 points.
Bish, come on. But my next one, Bish, I've got this one to thank putting Michael Thomas in. It's not his points. I can't lie to his points haven't been outstanding, but it's been steady, and that's all. I think that's what you want as your flex, don't you? Especially without showing off. When your team's got a high ceiling, you want a steady flex position that you know you're going to get guaranteed points. Michael Thomas has done that every week.
Yeah, 100%. Is that safety valve in? He's, in the middle of the field. Another 50-yard performance from him. And Derek Carr's carrying a bit of an injury. He got squashed in a tackle last week. So he's probably looking for him a bit more rather than the deep ball. Olave and Shaheed. So it probably works in Michael Thomas's favour, at the minute with Derek Carr. So, yeah, we know what he's about. He's a very, very savvy player. So, yeah, it's a great flex option, that one.
And then I'll finish off with my highest. I think they may actually be, as a collective, my highest scoring points in fantasy football. I've got them on both my fantasy teams. The Dallas Cowboys defense, Bish, another incredible stat line: 2 interceptions, only 3 points allowed, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 2 touchdowns. It's just I don't even know what to say. Bish, best defense in the league.
Yeah, they had their way with the Patriots, didn't they? It's very unlike Patriots' performance that even saw Mac Jones being benched as well. So yeah, it's been a tough start for Patriots, but yeah, Dallas, wow, as you said, 2 massive performances, and performances like that from your defense just absolutely swing games. So yeah, it's been a good start.
Bish, well, let's go actually over some of the ones that are close this week. I believe this is the closest one still to go with the game on Monday night, as this gets filmed Monday evening. Take us through it, Bish.
Yeah, I think it's this. I think Stocky's got Seattle defense tonight. I think he needs about 5 points, maybe 5.5 points from Seattle defense to get the victory. So that'll be an interesting one. I'm not sure Saquon Barkley's playing, so that takes him out of it. But that'll be a tough game, and it's pretty important as well. It gets Stocky back up to 2-2, or it'll push my brother to 3-1. So yeah, it's a lot to play for, a lot at stake.
What's your prediction, Bish? A bit of fun. What's your prediction? Will they hit the 5 points needed?
I think they will. I think Seattle are good enough for that. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that Seattle would get 5 points. Let's see what they've done in the last few weeks. My internet's very slow all of a sudden.
I can hear you. Yeah, I heard you all throughout.
I'm trying to load up the points for the last few weeks, but here we go. So they've got. Oh, to be fair, they only got 3 last week at Carolina. A big week at Detroit, 15 points week 2, and only 1 at the Rams week 1. So, yeah, it could be a lot closer than I thought actually with that. But 5 points, I think they're good enough to get that. But we'll see. Yeah,
I'm with you, Bish. I think they've just got enough. But we'll take you through your week bit. Oh, we'll just highlight the other 3-0 team. So. Tag tweeted me during the week. Someone's always got to go, and sadly, Tag, it was yours. We'll take you through. Bish, take us through this.
Beat by Danny Bravo as well, picking up his first win of the season. So he's kickstarted
his season. The defense in the 3rd round.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. I think Nico Collins had a big week for Bravs there, 32 points. That was probably the main difference. Yeah. Lamar Jackson, again, another good game, 28 points. Garrett Wilson, 9 catches for 60 yards. So yeah, it was a tight affair, but I think that big Nico Collins performance, 2 touchdowns, 168 yards off 7 catches, has swung it there for him. Tags had Bijan Robinson and Kyron Williams rack up some points for him. But then he's had Olave, who's obviously 0.9 points is it's criminal that, isn't it? So that's probably hurt him. So yeah,
Yeah.
his first defeat of the season.
Sorry, Tag. And Bish, finally, take us through your matchup this week. Some of your highs and lows.
Yeah, playing Bruno, it was on paper, the predicted scores before, it was very close, and I messed up Thursday night. I got the news that David Montgomery was back, but before I went to bed, I read that he might have he might be limited in terms of snaps, so I put him on my bench. I wake up, 3 touchdowns, 121 yards, 33 points. So I thought, oh well, that's not a great start to the week, but it's worked for me. Josh Jacobs, he finally had that big game, although a lot of it, to be fair, was through the receiving work. He got 81 yards receiving off 8 carries, which racked up 23 points there. So that's been good for me. T-Law is still not where I want him to be. I thought he'd be hitting 20-point games. He's under that again. He's only 16 points. Puka doing what Puka does, 163 yards, 1 touchdown, 9 receptions. So he's having an unbelievable start to his NFL career. And my waiver wire pickup, I'm pretty happy with. Josh Palmer coming in for the Chargers. Obviously, Mike Williams on injured reserve. He comes in with 77 yards. Got me 9 points, which I'm pretty happy about. So, yeah, good enough to get the victory this week and move on to an interesting week 5.
Yeah, Bish, just on one of your comments there, if you look to the right of our screen, we've got a big announcement. Trevor Lawrence has been put on the trade block by...
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, well, I said, this week just gone against the Falcons, it was make or break for me. That Lawrence Ridley stack that I've got, and although Ridley got a touchdown, he only had 2 receptions, 38 yards, so that touchdown saved me really. So yeah, I'm seeing what's out there, see if there's any takers, anyone's interested, because I'm not too happy with my quarterback situation at the minute.
I like it, Bish. Yeah, you're not. But yeah, it's like I said, another good week. Yeah, very, very interesting. Trevor Lawrence, I might be looking. I've got Brock Purdy, Bish, so I'm not too. I've got Purdy time, so I probably won't be offering you a trade. But yeah, if you're any others, I'm like it. I think the Jags are on the up. They proved me wrong this weekend. They prove you right season long, Bish, and I think they'll be on they'll get it together. That the start of the season, if you watch NFL the last couple of years, the start of the season is always so unpredictable for them first 3-4 weeks, and you get into a rhythm and you know where they're at. But there's always crazy results both ways, isn't there? Yeah,
that's right. As you said, 4 weeks gone now, pretty much. Just one game tonight. And then they've got another big game, week 5. Again, they're in London hosting the Buffalo Bills, who are riding high. So, yeah, the games are coming thick and fast. And, we're almost 25% of the season done now already. So, before you know it, we're at the halfway point, and it'll be make or break for.
And we're back. Yeah, we're back. Apologies, happens to everyone. A few technical difficulties, but we're working through them. But we're straight in, Bish, to the injury report. Bish, take us through your first injury report.
My first one is Javonte Williams, Denver running back. I thought this was the matchup. I've been patient with him coming back from an ACL. I thought this is the matchup. Chicago Bears. 2 not great teams. Hopefully, he'll hit. He goes out of the game with a hip flexor injury. Only racks up 2.4 points, and his replacement has a pretty good performance. The rookie comes in, Jaleel McLaughlin, I think it's pronounced. That might be a terrible pronunciation. I'm not sure, but I had a go. But yeah, he comes with 72 rushing yards and a receiving touchdown, 30 yards receiving as well. So what could have been for Javonte Williams and my fantasy teams, but it wasn't to be this week. I'm led to believe it's not too much of an injury, so he should be back next week. So hopefully we can get those yards back next week.
I'll go on to my player. I've got Mike Evans. It's not as scary as originally thought, Bish. I think during the live commentator Red Zone, I think they were thinking, oh no, this could be a long-term injury. But he's actually got a week 5 bye, and they only think it'll be a couple of weeks long. So it could even be back by that week 6. So a bit of good news, bit different on the injury report this week. A bit of good news for you. Mike Evans owners, don't panic. Don't sell. Don't unroster him. Keep him in. It'll only be a week till he'll be right back in there. Bish, nice. Take us through your third.
Kenny Pickett, the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. What looks like, he got carried off. I'm going to say what looks like best case scenario, even though it reports are it's an MCL strain, but it's obviously as soon as you see a knee injury, you worry about the ACL. So apparently it's just an MCL sprain, and so hopefully it won't be too long out. But that's obviously the quarterback of your team is a massive injury to have. It wasn't a great game for him. They got absolutely put to the cleaners a little bit there. And Mike Tomlin's come out and said there definitely will be some changes as a result of that. So that'll be interesting to see how it goes. They've got Mitchell Trubisky as a backup that'll come in. So he might be one, if there is any Kenny Pickett owners out there, one that you might be able to pick up on a part-time basis if you're interested in keeping that Steelers quarterback.
How do you think it will affect the rest of the team, Bish? Mitch Trubisky coming in with his history?
To be honest, I don't think it will affect massively. I think what they need to do is they need to get the run game going. Najee, he came back with, he had 71 yards, which is his best so far this season. But I think that's what they need to focus on, really. Deontay Johnson's still on injured reserve.
And we're back. Bish, you're talking about Kenny Pickett. Obviously, Mitch Trubisky needs to get the running game going. I'm going to go on my second injury report, and it's, in fact, T. Higgins, Bish. A poor week fantasy-wise, obviously the injury were the main part of it. A fractured rib. At first, they were worried it'd be a long couple of months out, but he's reported himself, I don't know how trustworthy this can be, that he could be back this weekend. So T. Higgins have gone from the lows to the steady, I guess, because I'm not excited to play T. If I'm a T. Higgins owner, I'm not excited to play him with a fractured rib. But hey, what do you reckon?
You ask any player, and they'll tell you they're fit to play. They could be on one leg and on crutches. They'll tell you, I can play next week. So I mean, it's potentially he could. I think it's going to be pretty painful for him if he does. But like you said, it's one to be wary of if you are a Higgins owner, especially with what's happening with Burrow at the minute and that offense. So yeah, it's one to keep an eye on. I'm not sure if he's a sort of player that you've drafted that you can afford to sit, to be honest. I guess it depends on your situation, but generally I'd say start your studs, and he's definitely one of those studs. So if he's fit to play, I'm probably reluctantly going to have to start him.
That's a big call, Bish. I like it. We're all about big calls at the punt, and that is one. I don't know. There might be a man coming up on my waiver wire that I might, for the first time this year, be actually more confident even on the same team. But I'll save that for the waiver wire. It's probably obvious who I'm going to say now, but yeah, I don't know if that man comes above, but we'll discuss it in the waiver wire bit, because I'm going more the third choice at Cincinnati. But Bish, I wanted to actually talk about the fantasy flops. But before we get into individual players, I want to talk about a team, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. They've come up week after week. Joe Burrow's come up, different Jamar Chase come up one week. T. Higgins has just come up. I thought it were relevant. What? Where's your head at with them, Bish? I'm full panic mode, and my head's gone. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough times at the minute for him, isn't it? You know, the pedigree of the sort of what they've done the last few years gives them a bit of grace, I guess. But we're running out of time pretty quick, you know, and the Ravens are picking up wins and stretching that division out. So it's tough. You know, Burrow took an absolute pounding against the Titans. You know, it were like just turnstiles just coming through. He had nowhere to go. We've got Jamar Chase in the locker room, you know, interview saying, "I'm always open," you know, basically saying, "Throw me the ball." And if T. Higgins is out, to be fair, he's going to have to throw him the ball because there's not much else there. So, yeah, it's tough times, and I don't know. They're going to have to hope something happens pretty soon. Otherwise, they're going to be slipping out of that playoff picture.
I think this is the year. They're finally getting punished for the lack of offensive line draft picks or even free agency. I think they did actually try to get a few in, but it's clearly not enough. Bish, like you said, with someone who is limited in his movement, like Joe Burrow is, he needs a lot of time in that pocket. For new fans that might be watching, the pocket's essentially what the offensive line creates a barrier for you where no men can tackle, and the longer time his offensive line can block out the defenders coming to get Joe Burrow, the easier it is, the more time it gives his wide receivers and even running back to get in space and pass him the ball. And I don't think he's been given enough time. Obviously, the last couple of years he's got away with it. Joe Mixon, Samaj Pirine being brilliant pass catching running backs, and then obviously just Joe Burrow's mobility has been awesome. He normally gets out the pocket quick and gives his wide receivers more time to get open. Doesn't have that this year, and it's getting punished.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. His movement's the big thing. He can't extend plays because he just doesn't have it in his legs at the minute, or he's not confident in that calf to be able to do that. So he's a bit of a sitting duck at the minute, and you know he's needing his wide receivers to get open quickly. And it's not happening for him at the minute.
Bish, take us through your first fantasy flop of the week.
My first fantasy flop is Deebo Samuel. 0.6 points this week, no receptions, no targets, just 3 carries for 6 yards. And he's come off the back of it. He's been carrying a few niggling injuries. But in this offense, you know, I think we've spoke about before, it's each week, any one of them could go off. You know, unfortunately, if you're rostering one of the other ones that doesn't, you know, you're going to have to take a low score. But he has got that high ceiling in terms of if it is his week, he could rack up the points. It could be a 15, 20-point week. So, you know, it comes with that risk reward, that boom or bust sort of mentality. So, you know, if your team can risk that, then I think you've got to keep playing him, to be honest. But you know, for me, he's one that I've traded away in one league this year, and one that I'm sort of trying to stay away from.
I asked you this actually earlier in a conversation, Bish, but what would you rather take? I think this is something we actually disagree on a little bit. Yeah, what would you rather take? Either when a star player on a worse team that might not have that full high ceiling, or someone obviously in Deebo's manner where incredibly high ceiling, but the floor's also very low.
Yeah. Also, obviously, depending on your team makeup and whether you need, you know, where you're sitting in your league and things like that. But for me, I'm wanting a sort of player on a team who's probably the main man, so to speak, but on a lesser team where they're going to be needing to throw constantly. A bit like the Texans at the minute, the way they've got Nico Collins and Tank Dell. You know, they're behind in games and they're constantly throwing. So I'm probably sort of looking at that. And just with Debo alone, I think he blew up probably 18 months ago because he was getting a lot of carries, a lot of rushing yards. But since Christian McCaffrey's come over, they've stopped, and he's just a pure wide receiver now. And obviously, that's put a massive cap on his ceiling. So, yeah, for me, it's probably I'm looking for someone with a bit of a higher floor rather than the high ceiling that Debo has.
Yeah, I think this is a bit of a disagree. I think fair comments, but yeah, I think I love a boomer buster. I think that's the risk taker in me. Like I said, Debo excites me. I think, but again, it all, as you reiterated, it all depends on where you are in the league. If you're near that bottom of the league, you need that safety. You need that consistent production. If you've got a decent team where you're looking for the playoffs, I'm going D. I'm sticking by Debo. I'm taking that high ceiling. I think that ceiling's incredibly high. You've got Purdy, my man, throwing him the ball, and I think week on week, you'll. I reckon those big points coming Debo's way in the next 2 weeks. But safe Bish. I like your answer, but I like a bit more spice.
No, if I'm a Debo owner, I'm going and hounding the Brandon Ayuk owner, and I'm getting Brandon Ayuk. For me, he's the number one 49ers wide receiver. So I want a piece of that team. I do want a piece of that team, but it's Brandon Ayuk, not Debo for me.
I like it, Bish. Fair enough. Good. Yeah, big step. I'll take you through my first fantasy flop, and it is in fact Jordan Addison. Not much to analyse here. He didn't get a single point or a single catch. Bad week. I think that's a pro Justin Jefferson week. Pro Justin Jefferson comment that Addison's even featuring on there. But to be honest with you, Bish, with him being a rookie, this is for Addison owners who may be panicking or people. I'd trade for Addison now. Other YouTubers call this a trade demand now. I'd get in there, message all your friends who have got Jordan Addison in the team, chuck some medium wide receivers who get consistent points. Take some people be after the, I don't want to insult you, Bish, but the Bish approach where it's the safe options. Addison's especially getting into that playoffs. If you're one of them people who are maybe going into this week, if they've won 3-1 or 4-0, I'd be trading for Jordan Addison. I think by the time it gets to the playoffs, them rookie wide receivers do peak at the end of the season, do peak when fantasy football is at the hottest and when it matters the most. And I'm trading. Addison shown me enough that Kirk Cousins does trust him. I've been over it before. He does trust him. Justin Jefferson just had an incredible week, and I'm sticking with Addison / trading for him. I think I'm going to maybe putting an offer in our league, Bish, but I'll let you know what I think of that. But yeah, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm a fan of his. Obviously on our other show, I've been speaking about him for weeks. It was just game script, I think, to be honest. It was a low scoring game, 21-13. Wasn't really in it. The Vikings got it done on the ground this week, 135 rushing yards. So obviously Justin Jefferson's the main man, and there wasn't else needed really. Everyone was low. Hockenson was low. Addison obviously not involved, and KJ Osborne was low as well. So it was just one of those weeks that unfortunately every now and again you come across. So yeah, I agree with you there. I'm a fan of him. If you can pick him up, definitely go get him.
Go trade for him. Bish, take me through your second fantasy flop.
My second one is Mac Jones. Patriots, very unpatriot-like in a bit of a hounding by the Dallas Cowboys. 38-3. Mac Jones finishing with 2.7 fantasy points in our league, 150 yards, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. He actually got benched, although Belichick says it wasn't performance related. It was just that they were out of the game, so he took him out. But, some of the throws, a big no-no in the NFL is a quarterback running one direction and throwing it across his body in the other direction. And Mac Jones, he must have done this 4 or 5 times in this game. He got away with it a couple of times, but he also got picked. So, yeah, it's tough times for the Patriots, really. You know, I thought not Brian, I was going to say Brian Hoyer then, but he's not there anymore. But they got a new offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien. I thought things would pick up for them offensively, but if anything, I think they've gone away from what they were good at. They were good at running the ball, and they've just gone away from that. And I think it's hurting them at the minute, and definitely hurting Mac Jones.
Yeah, it's sad, innit? For sad times for the Patriots. I think you described a couple of teams like this in the last show, but they just always want to win, and that's the Patriot way. I don't think it's the NFL way. Don't know if that makes sense, but I think fans, the best way I can describe that is the league's dictated that if you're not winning, you maybe should lose or be crafty with some of your decisions. Try pick up some draft picks or make some big free agent signings. Well, famously, the Patriots don't do many big free signings. They try to get, I think, what would be called money ballers. They try to get safe bets who are steady and keep it going, and then they also don't lose enough to get a really high draft pick ever, because they want to win. And I think this is the year that it's finally. I don't know why I said that. Finally punishing them. I'm nervous for the Patriots. I don't see anything coming, Bish. Honestly, through three weeks, I don't see anything coming. I don't know if you do, but the eye test isn't it. I think they need a new quarterback. I'm gonna be the one to say it. I'm sure other people are, but I think they have to. I think they might have to lose and go get one of them high thought about quarterbacks coming from college this year, Bish. But Paul Mac Jones, I guess.
Yeah, it's like you said. They're one of those teams that, you know, when that dynasty ended, it's just not in them. You said it. I think it's more like business-like, NFL-like, business-like. If you're not winning, you need to be losing to restock and go again. And they're just not that sort of team, you know, like the Titans, the Steelers. They're just those middle ground teams that don't really get those splash players in the draft. Like you said, they're just trying to make it up with solid players who they try and fit in their system and mold to them. So, yeah, it is tough times, and what's happened in that division as well. We're seeing what Miami are doing, Buffalo, New York Jets, although obviously Rodgers down, but the players they've got Breece Hall there waiting to go, Garrett Wilson, and that just leaves the Patriots just sort of underneath all three of them, really, to be honest. So, yeah, it's something needs to change. It's just, what do they do? You know, are they good enough to get at the minute you would say that they're good enough, they're bad enough, sorry, to get a high-ish draft pick. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out for them.
Yeah, and they normally have an incredible defense, and that's not showing up either this year, Bish, is it? I don't want to go on and on about the Patriots, but I think being such a superstar team, one of the most well-known teams, especially in England with the Brady years, winning them Super Bowls. I think they have to go get a quarterback, and a quarterback quick. Mac Jones can be a serviceable quarterback on another team, but I think they're screaming out for someone. I think they're screaming out for a leader to follow behind, a leader to go. They've got these hard-working players all across the pitch, but they don't have that man to put it all together that they're following. And I think that if I was them, I'd be trading for someone, Bish. I think
that's a big call. Yeah. Will Belichick do something like that? Is, like we said, he's not one to splash out on big trades and things like that. And as you spoke about the defense, Matt Judon went down this week with what looks like an elbow injury. So yeah, it's tough times for the Patriots at the minute.
It is. My second fantasy flop, apologies, is Chris Olave with one reception for 4 yards. Obviously, they lost to Tampa Bay, 26-9. I don't really know what to take, Bish. What's your take? I know it's my fantasy flop, but I'm bringing it up because I want you to try and give me an answer. I want you to give fantasy owners a reason why they should believe in Olave or listen or not panic. Give me something. Cause I don't know, Bish. I don't know how to take this one.
I think it was one of those weeks, the Bucks have been very good as well. The Bucks were underdogs in this one, and I actually think maybe they got that wrong. But Derek Carr picked up a shoulder injury last week. There were reports that he might not play this game. He did play this game, but I think that's sort of his down the field threats of Olave and Shaheed. But just he couldn't get the ball to him. I don't think. That's why we saw a lot of Michael Thomas. Your flex player there picking up the points. So that's one to keep an eye on. But I think Olave is a very good player. There's as we said with Debo, there's not much you can do. You've just got to take the hit on this one. You reload next week and hope things massively improve, which I'm sure they will with a player of his quality.
Yeah, well, I think if you've got Chris Olave in your team there, I'd be checking Derek Carr's injury report every day because I'd be panicking. But if that shoulder makes a recovery, I'd be happy. But I don't want to dive in. Is the backup Jameis Winston still?
Yeah, that's it. So whether Derek Carr's in, whether Jameis is in, I'm pretty confident in Olave gets service there. So I think the only way he doesn't is if Derek Carr is playing with an injury. Jameis is good enough. In Tampa, 30 plus touchdowns. Although it did come with a lot of interceptions, but if you're an Olave owner, you're wanting him to rip it and get it to Olave. So either option I think is good enough for Olave.
I think this team's tailor-made. I think this team is tailor-made. For a quarterback to come and throw that ball around, they've got 3 explosive wide receivers. Obviously, Chris Olave, he's unbelievable. You've got Michael Thomas back and proving that he's still NFL viable. And you've got the absolute speed demon, Rashid Shaheed. I think I did all right there, actually. Yeah. You've got that. If that's not a Jameis Winston wide receiver room, there's not another one in the NFL. Get that man Jameis in. Derek Carr, love you. Go take a break. I want to see Jameis. I want to see that Jameis throw that ball around, and let's have some fun on red zone. So we'll see a lot of touchdowns. You'll probably, whichever defense you play, will probably be happy as well. So get Jameis in. Let's get the highlights on, and let's give the fans something to be excited about. Over in obviously New Orleans, who have had just a few steady and under average years. Give them something post the Drew Brees years. Give them something. That man's Jameis Winston with them wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm with you. Get him in. I love Jameis. I love him.
Brilliant. Well, we've got a punt. We've got a punt consensus. Get Jameis Winston in for at least 1 week, and let's see how he goes. Bish, the next segment will move straight on though to your own segment. Actually, I'll refer it to Bish's Breakouts, the top players of the week. Bish, who is your Bish Breakout of the week?
Well, I wouldn't say he's a breakout because he does it week in, week out, but the top player this week has got to be Christian McCaffrey for me. 4 touchdowns, 106 rushing yards, 71 through the air, 45 fantasy points in our league this week. And he's just an absolute machine. He can beat you in so many ways. He's jumping over players at the weekend. Through 4 games, he's got 600 yards. Total yards, that is, and 7 touchdowns. And for me, he's after 4 weeks, I think he's the league MVP after 4 weeks. It's a big call with how some players are going, but if he can keep that up, I think he's got a great shot of. Obviously, it's usually a quarterback award, but I think he's got a great shout for nicking that award this year. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, big statement, Bish. I don't know. I'm a big quarterback winning MVP man, to be honest. I used to be, when I first followed the league, I used to be, why don't the others? But as I watch it more and more, I get it. I don't like, my heart doesn't like it, but I think a quarterback wins this league, Bish, and I think there's some out there that will take it this year. But I like it, Bish. It's a brave comment, and I think you could be right. Because, to be honest, as I'm going through it in my head, there's not that many quarterbacks that are really at that top pinnacle at this moment. So yeah, you might be right.
He's definitely in the conversation at the minute. I think definitely.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's been awesome the last couple of years now, and yeah, obviously at detriment of the man I mentioned earlier, Addison. But yeah, what a player. My one, Bish, is more a wide receiver who maybe, if weeks go his way, might be matching him soon to be AJ Brown. Not quite in the same category, but obviously 9 receptions for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he's right underneath. He's had 2 quiet weeks. He's back, and he's back with a bang. 36 points in fantasy. Fantasy owners all around the world cheering at AJ Brown, the first round pick wide receiver, has delivered probably a matchup winning performance there. 36 points for any player, again, fantastic, and I think he needed it, Bish.
Yeah. Well, there were a little bit of sniping on the sideline, but I like it. I like that sort of thing. I think it got construed a little bit like he was having a go at Jalen Hurts because Devontae Smith was getting all the attention. But I like that. He wants the ball. He feels he's the best wide receiver on the field, and this week he proved that he's definitely the best wide receiver on the field. So without a doubt, he's a massive threat, and it's Rams Eagles week this week. It's a big week for me, so I'm hoping he has a quiet game this week.
Yeah, I've got to rescind a statement. I think I went for the glitz and glam. Justin Jefferson is way ahead of AJ Brown. I think I just went for the big statement to try and match you, Bish. But yeah, I will rescind that statement very quickly on the show live and admit I made something to think. But who knows? With a couple of weeks like that, he can enter into that conversation anyway, can't he, Bish?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, he's definitely in. He's definitely up there, top 5 possibly in the league. So yeah, he's going well. And on to my second one. Not quite MVP yet, but he's getting there. My second one is, I think he is again throwing his name up for MVP, and that's Josh Allen. It was a big matchup. The Bills, the Dolphins. The Bills sort of Josh Allen after week 1 lost to the Jets through 3 interceptions. Sort of took the blame for that one, but since then he's been on fire. He scored the Bills have scored over 30 points in every game since then. And this week alone, he had 320 passing yards. He threw for 4 touchdowns, and his pass completion was 84%, which is very high. And he threw in a rushing touchdown along with that. So 36.5 points for him this week in fantasy. And I think I spoke earlier, as the Bills go is how he goes. He sort of carries the Bills. But I'm looking now, and he's getting some weapons around him. Stefan Diggs has always been there, but they've got a viable running game, probably for the first time. James Cook is getting it done with the help of Latavius Murray as well. Damien Harris, not so much, but so he's getting people around him that can help him. The defense is always good, so he's always going to get the ball back. So he's putting himself up there. He's playing extremely well. Yeah, I'm lucky to have him in one league. So long may it continue.
Wow, I like it. Great Josh Allen sentiment. Like you said, he's probably the only quarterback that probably is competing with Justin Jefferson. They are probably the 2 front runners. He's been brilliant. Let himself down in that Jets game. But yeah, other than that, Bish, I've got nothing else to think. You've covered him quite well, but I don't know. Some still don't quite convince me. It's just another heart comment, but I want to see him do it in the big games. He can't do that till the playoffs, to be honest. But I want to see him in that playoffs, pick up some wins, and maybe reach that Super Bowl, Bish. And then I think he's the man. But until then, there's something still inside me that don't quite believe Josh. I think he's a big body, hard to stop. Actually saves himself a lot with his running game, opens things up that because he is a secretly good runner. He's not flash and fast like a Lamar or Justin Fields. But yeah, I don't know. It's not quite there for me yet. But Bish, I could be wrong, and he'll probably get MVP and kill it now. But that's just how my statements go. But mentioning just mentioning Justin Fields. What a week for him. 335 yards, 4 touchdowns. But they lost, Bish. Chicago Bears, panic mode now again. I think they had hope for this year. He had a good week, Bish, did Justin Fields, but where are you with him? Where are you with him? He didn't get the rushing yards this time. He did actually get it throwing the ball, but is it enough?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I came into the season. I looked at him last year and I thought if they could get him to run, it'd cause some damage, and he did. He pulled off a few, and then they sort of pulled him. They want to work on his passing. They've brought him some weapons. DJ Moore, obviously, and it's just not quite worked through those first 3 weeks, has it? And then obviously he gets some stick, and then he goes into this week again. It's a matchup of two poor teams. Let's be honest. He's coming up against that Denver defense that has been poor, which is surprising because they were very good last year. But you can't knock him. I mean, he's got it done in the air, throwing the ball, which people say he can't do. He's done that this week, so I guess we'll go into next week and see what happens. I'm starting in one league because of that rushing upside. So I hope that still continues because, those touchdowns are gold for your quarterback in fantasy. So those 6-point touchdowns. So yeah, I'm going to keep playing him for the time being, but it's one where I'm looking at what's out there sort of thing. What's on the waivers. Is there a quarterback that I need to pick up and have a look at? So I hope he continues to kill it because I like him. So, but he's just they don't look like a good team, do they?
No, and especially with Chase Claypool now getting, I think, essentially banned from being anywhere near the team. He's been chucked off. I think they are on the trade market to find another wide receiver. I think if they can't trade Claypool, I think they're going to genuinely just release him, realising one of the worst trades of all time last year, or was it the end of the year before, but one of the end of the year before, wasn't it? But yeah, one of the worst trades of all time, Bish, would you say?
Well, definitely, yeah. They've used picks, and now they're basically throwing him away. So, something's gone terribly wrong there. But yeah, I'm not sure what the thought process is behind that one.
No, they'll have to find some good wide receivers from somewhere. I don't know how many there are out there that are of quality, but we'll see. Hopefully they can figure something out, or else it's just tank again and get another high draft pick. But I don't know what their draft pick situation's like for next year, Bish. Maybe you...
Well, they're currently on number 1 and number 2. If it would stay how it is right now in terms of teams finishing where they are. So, but that brings up another debate. Then, do they pick a quarterback or do they stay with Justin Fields? It's a big call. So, do they stick with Justin Fields and strengthen in other areas, or do they do that by trading him and obviously bringing in extra picks or extra players? So, I guess it's, as an organisation, it's good decisions to have, but obviously you want to be winning games, don't you? So, it's one to look at. One that'll probably take shape, obviously, to the back end of the season.
This will have to do a separate whole show on that. We need to do our research on what's in the draft and let a whole Chicago Bears draft conundrum show, because that's gold standard. The first and second round picks. What? I don't know. I think they might have to move on and trade him for some, maybe a maybe trading for a wide receiver on one of them struggling teams and go get another quarterback and do it that way. Because I don't know if you want to pick a wide receiver first or second in the draft. It's rarely ever happens. It's defensive ends and quarterbacks that are your main top picks, Bish. I don't.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They could ransom the picks and try and get a fortune for them in future picks and players, or you just go down that route of drafting your new quarterback and saying goodbye to Fields. So yeah, it is. I guess it's like a walking interview really for Fields from here on out. You know, if he delivers, obviously I think they've got to stick with him. But if he doesn't, then that opens the door to a clean start for him.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah, especially for dynasty owners like yourself, Bish. I'm not in a dynasty league, but I bet dynasty owners that's salivating at how much could happen there in the Chicago Bears. But we've got the waiver wire pickups, Bish. I think this is probably the most important part of the show, the one that can help the people, the most fantasy experts like ourselves. I'm not calling myself one, I'm joking. I'm a fantasy novice that just loves it. But Bish, you're calling you a fantasy expert, Bish. Who's your waiver wire pickup for this week?
I think you're the expert going by the state of our league at the minute. That's it's what have you done lately? That tells you who you are. But no, it's a big week for pickups this week because the buys are starting. So we've got 4 teams. Some music going on. I don't know what's going on here.
We can't hear it on our end.
We've got 4 teams on buys this week. So we've got the Seahawks and the Bucks all on buys. So it's there's going to be people who are going to be needing players this week. So it might be a bit competitive out there on the waiver wire. But my first one, and it's one that I've spoke on before. It's CJ Stroud, the Texans quarterback, and I'm just liking what he's doing week on week. He's getting better and better, I think. And in a game where I thought they'd be trailing, they absolutely hammer the Jags the week before, and then this week again they're putting a massive performance, and he's thrown for 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's the first rookie quarterback in 4 games to not throw an interception, and he's had 2 300-yard games in that as well. So, and he's been over 20 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. So he's racking up the points. He's confident. He's finding his wide receivers. You know, there's not much I can say bad about him, to be honest. So again, I'll say it quietly because we know now from last week that some of the boys watch in our league watch, but he's one I'm looking at. You know, if I can't get that T. Lawrence trade, I might have to just release him.
CJ Stroud, yeah, what can I say about him? Bish is unbelievable. If the Texas offense was stronger, I don't want to insult Nico Collins and Tank Dell, but they're good wide receivers, but they're not stars. They're not the AJ Browns. They're not the Justin Jeffersons. They're not the Tyreek Hills. I think he needs 1 or 2 more additions to that team, Bish, and they've got a seriously good team because, as you know, in the NFL, it's about having that quarterback, and I think the Texans have found their quarterback. I think he was the one that people were least excited about going into the season, and he's the one who stood up and gone, "No, I'm the man." And like you said, some of his stats are, and he passes the eye test. I'm not an expert at any means, but go and watch his highlights. Go and put on the Houston Texans game. Some of the throws, he's hitting gaps that small into receivers' hands. He's reading plays, he's reading runs, and he's getting it all right. And for a rookie to get that right, for people who, again, still getting into the sport, for rookies to get that right is so hard. It takes years. It takes ages for some. Josh Allen's first year in the NFL was pretty bad. You know what I mean? Just MVP candidate. It was pretty bad. Then he got better. Then this man's at a very good level already with very little. No offense again to Nico Collins and Tank, but not with the caliber of wide receivers you want, and he's doing it comfortably. I can't speak highly enough about him, Bish. Great waiver wire pick.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
My one, Bish, going on from earlier, because I'm not convinced about the T. Higgins one. I'm hoping the Bengals do find something from somewhere if they don't rest Joe Burrow. I've got Tyler Boyd, the forgotten receiver. I might call him a bit harsh, but he's certainly. Previous years he got spoke about much more. That T Higgins Tyler Boyd race, I'd say, is the second wide receiver in the Bengals was a closer race than it has been on the back end of last year, and obviously earlier on this year in the draft. And I still think he's a very good player, Bish. And I think this is time for Tyler Boyd to show up and say, hey, it's my time. T Higgins is a bit injured. Let me step up, lads, and help the team out, because I can't see T Higgins being that superstar the way he plays. He plays a physical game anyway. He's a tall receiver who doesn't always get wide open, but his presence gets him them catches, and I think that's going to be tough with an injury like he's got, as we went over earlier. So I think Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow's going to be looking more his way and getting him the ball more and giving him a go and putting back faith probably in a quarterback wide receiver relationship that was healthier in previous years than it has been recently. And I think they'll be looking to get Tyler Boyd going a lot at the Bengals.
Yeah, it's obviously it all depends if he misses time, Higgins. I think if he doesn't miss time, I think nothing changes. I think
really? Still, wow.
Yeah, I think he's good enough to be a wide receiver one on any other team. It's just unfortunate Jamar Chase is on the same team. If he does miss time, I think Boyd's got to step up. Like you said, they're struggling as they are. Other than that, there's not much there. So maybe it's if you are that Higgins owner, can you pick Boyd up? But the way I'll be honest with you, the way that offense is going, I probably wouldn't want to pick up a wide receiver. But yeah, that's it's an interesting one, that one.
So you're not with. So basically, what you're trying to say is you're not with me on that pick. I don't mind. I can handle it.
No, I think it's all dependent on if he misses time. I think if he does miss time, I think it's worth a go. But if he doesn't, I can't see much changing, if I'm honest. If anything, I think Jamar Chase just gets more attention. He gets more of the ball thrown his way.
Be an interesting one to pick up next week, Bish. A little Joe v. Bish competition there on the comment. But take us through your second waiver wire pickup, Bish.
My second waiver wire pickup is Jameson Williams, the Detroit Lions wide receiver, and I've just been scoping around a few leagues. He's been picked up, but in our league, he's still available. And he comes with quite a lot of hype around him. So this is his second year. He did his ACL coming out of college, so missed most of his rookie year. Came back, but then picked up a hamstring injury. And whilst all this was going on, he's actually been suspended for the first 6 games of this season for gambling, which is prohibited in the NFL for players and those associated. So, but that actually got reduced from 6 down to 4 games. So he's actually available this week, week 5. So, I've had a look, and they're saying they'll find a little role for him. But I think it's a case of, we spoke similar earlier. I think you tossed up Josh Reynolds a few weeks ago as a pickup. So there's plenty of options there for the Lions, but he might be one where if you can afford to pick him up early now, and you might bear fruit 3 or 4 weeks down the line as he sort of picks up his snap count, and Jared Goff aims things his way and builds that up over the next few weeks. So he's come with, like I said, with a high profile out of college. He's not quite had it the last 2 years through injury, suspension. So it's an interesting sort of gamble to take, I think.
Definitely worth the punt.
Definitely. Hey, I like that one.
I couldn't. I thought about it and delivered it. I didn't quite deliver it amazingly, but I agree with you. His caliber, he was so well talked about. He slid a bit in the draft, but he was one of the most talked about wide receivers in college. They're so excited to watch him. He had a brief run where he caught 1 or 2 touchdowns last year. But they'll be excited. And it's again worth the punt. Take him up, because he could be a league-winning wide receiver. He turns out as his stock in college suggests, and if he gets the ball rolling near them fantasy playoffs, like I said, he could be one of the best flex players you can pick up. My final one, Bish, and it's more again asking for an explanation from you because he is in our waiver wire. It's Jaylen Warren. Reason I'm bringing him up is that I think I like him. I think Najee Harris is good, but he's got limits to his game. Jaylen Warren's the pass catching running back here, Bish, and we love pass catching running backs on a team. He had a quiet week, but take us through why you've done that, Bish, because I disagree with you.
Well, he's actually on the waivers because I dropped him, but it wasn't through. I didn't think he was any good. I just saw an opportunity. I saw Miles Sanders, the running back for the Panthers, didn't train on Friday, so I thought that would lean him to him not playing at the weekend. So I picked up his backup, which was Chuba Hubbard. And the only guy I had on my bench who I could get away with dropping, I felt, was Jaylen Warren. Unfortunately, come the weekend, Miles Sanders plays, so I can't play Chuba Hubbard, and I've lost a very good running back to the waiver wire. So, yeah, I'm fingers crossed no one's seen him or no one bids for him, and I can sneakily pick him back up tomorrow. So we'll see how that one goes.
I've still got that 100 fab and it might be getting spent. I keep saying it. And then last minute, I apologise for viewers who watched me last week. I said I'm spending all this fab and I've not done it again. I backed out last minute because I said I'm happy with my team. I'm sticking with him. But I do like Jaylen Warren and I think there is space on my team for a running back as a couple of mine may be injured and a bit ropey at the moment. So I might spend a bit of fab and get my first waiver wire pick up. But Bish, yeah, it's been a great show, and we'll finish with our favourite segment, the punters. The best kicker of the week going forward. I've got my pick, but give us yours.
My kicker of the week is Jake Elliott this week, the Eagles kicker. 4 out of 4 on field goals and a 54-yard field goal in overtime to clinch the victory for the Eagles this week. So, I think that's 14 fantasy points. So, yeah, it's a very good turnout for if you rostered him this week.
I've got someone who might be being dropped, and he was my punters pick kicker of the week last week, and I'm going with him again. Jason Sanders of the Miami Dolphins. I still believe in that offense. They still had a good week. He only got 2 points. The Bills' defense is awesome, and they're up against the New York Giants next. They will be looking for some redemption. A tough loss, and I think they'll be looking to prove they're still up there, Bish. And whatever happens, I think that I claimed he had that flaw there as a kicker last week, and he only got 2 points. But I'm doubling down, and I'm saying he's going to get 8+ points against the New York Giants because I think the Miami Dolphins are coming. They'll get a couple of field goals, and they'll get a lot of touchdowns. And I believe, Jason Sanders is going to redeem himself with double the points this week.
Nice, I like it. Big bold statement there.
Yeah, Jason Sanders fans, get behind me. But yeah, that's probably never been said. But Bish, give us your closing thoughts of this week's fantasy.
Yeah, it's been a good week. Like I said, I'm happy with my victory. We've got one game going down to the wire tonight in the Seahawks-Giants game, but all on to a big week 5. The waiver wire is, I think, crucial when these bye weeks start kicking in because everyone's got needs. So, you've got to be thinking about it carefully. But, please like, subscribe. Any questions that you want answering, flex options, decisions on players, get in the comments, and we'd love to get a chat and discuss options.
Bish, thank you very much. Again, apologies for some of the technical difficulties. These things happen, but really bad weather in the UK at the moment. So, all good. we'll be back next week with brilliant Wi-Fi, brilliant things, and we'll be at it on Thursday for the betting show. And let's have it. Bish, thank you, and see you Thursday.
See you Thursday.